A couple of videos ago, actually my second last video to be exactly precise, I talked about the great airbox mystery. That had I got some great information, great feedback from a lot of people. Thank you very much. I'm still looking into trying to get an airbox. I could do an actual item by item comparison. But while I'm waiting for that, the second part of the video I mentioned about doing something on this to actually make it a proper, I guess you could say, cold air intake, right? Here it is, it's getting some air coming in from back here, but it is still exposed. One, it's exposed to the engine and the heat and the elements there, but two, just even things when you're driving and water kind of flows through here, it's exposed to that too. And actually it's telling because you can see, when you look at the cone, you can see some of the K&N, the spray-on fluid is starting to wash off a little, so that's also telling as well. So all that exposure is kind of getting to it. So near as I can tell, there's three options to actually get this done. Option number one is to modify the existing airbox to accommodate the air cone. Number two is to fabricate one, build one on my own. Or number three is to knuckle under and buy a proper aftermarket one from K&N or anything. Being a do-it-yourselfer myself, I like to try and always modify and tinker with how I can. Sometimes the results are good, sometimes not, but that's what I like to do. So we're going to approach that first. This is the first thing we're going to look at, is modifying the existing airbox. This is my original 2005 airbox. Yes, okay, for anyone who's going to point out, I still need this airbox to do the great airbox mystery video, and that's all fine, because I'm really not modifying the external of it, and we'll be able to see what the internal is like from here. But I still want to get this job on the road. It's been something that's been sitting for a few years now, so I want to get it done. Now, I should also point out before we move ahead that if this works out, I'm obviously not moving to step 2 or step 3, which is fabricating my own, or buying one for like a K&N or something like that. And I have a feeling this will work. So let me show you what exactly, ultimately, is going to be required. So looking at it here, you can see that this is the first part we'll look at, which is where originally, the tube where the MAF sensor is, which is right here. You can see the holes. That's where it mounts to. It actually mounts directly into here. So once it mounts into here, it comes through into the airbox. Let's open that up. All right. And it comes through here. The air filter normally is what's sat right in here. So this actually was at the bottom, down there. And then this clipped on the top. And as anyone who's done the air filter knows, that was very hard because when it opened, it only gave you like this much room. Annoyingly so. But yeah, that's where the air filter was. It comes through here. This mounted directly onto here. As you can see, clipped into the bottom. It's not placed properly, but you get the idea. And then it's screwed in at the top. And then down here, where that ECU sits, and then over here is this tube. So doing some measurements and checking out, if I'm correct, and hopefully I am, because then I'm chopping this up for nothing. All that really needs to come out is this tube and this here. If all that comes out, then the cone should be able to remount right onto here, fit through here. There'll be a nice opening right here. This will be gone, and then the cold air will feed direct through an opening here and get directly to the air filter, keeping it sealed off from all the elements, while at the same time too getting all the benefits of having the filter. So we're going to start off, and we're going to go through our first step, and let's see if we can do this. The first thing we're going to approach is actually here, this, because taking this out is actually relatively easy, from the looks of it anyways. So it looks like it just clips in. So it clips like right over here and then over here. So really what you need to do is pry this open and slip that right out. Let's try this here. So I'm just going to grab my flathead. I'm going to wedge it in here. Sure, in here. I'm going to pry. No, not quite. Let's see. I'm gonna try. You know what? Let's put the longer one in here. Looks like there's some ridges on the inside here. Since there's some ridges here where this clip is, I'm assuming there's maybe another clip or anything on this other side. So let's put that there. Which this one here. It's coming. It's coming. There we go. That's out. So you can see, don't go away from me, table. As you can see, that's all it is. It's a tube with some clips. Okay, well, it's notched a little. That's okay. Now we've got that open back up. So now, after some cleaning and stuff, which I'll have to do, that should all work for the second part of it. So the second part of this project really is this, which is really the hard part, is cutting this and modifying it to fit in hopes that it'll work. The main thing is cutting this whole piece out here, this whole part right across this here. So it's not touching the sides or anything. Cutting this, but make sure we got to maintain the strength of it. So what I will attempt to do is I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut, see where this seal is here? I'm going to cut a little off from the seal. So by having the fold over, hopefully I'll have enough that it'll maintain the strength. Also, we've got to cut around these where the screws in here. I got to cut around that and go around. This doesn't matter. This all comes out. We go all the way around, all the way down on the outside of here, and then along here. That's the hope. Now, the good and the bad news of this is that the perfect tool for this would be my Dremel tool. But unfortunately, my Dremel tool got hit with some water, so it's not in any working shape anymore. So I'm just going to take some of the Dremel bits. We're going to try that first and see if it's not. I mean, it's nowhere near the same RPM, obviously, but I'm going to try and see if it'll work. And if not, maybe we'll try a jig. But let's try and see if we can work this. First thing I'm just going to drill is kind of like a lead hole. Okay. Let me see if I can use this now. Oh, that's definitely not going to work. Alright, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to get out the jig and we're going to go with that, okay? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do then, if we're going to do this with more traditional tools, so I'm going to drill 4 holes. So I'm going to put 1 hole at each corner. These are going to act as my, kind of like my guides. So we're going to put one here. Okay, I'm gonna do one about here. Do one about here. Let's see, oh, a little more down actually. Yeah, let's say that. Holy smokes, broke my drill bit. Plastic beats steel, apparently. Alright. Served me well, drill bit. For many, many years. I will miss you. Momentarily. Time for a new bit. Okay, back on board. 1 more hole. And I think this one was good. Okay, we have our 4 lead holes. Now it's time to start with our jig. Alright, so now we're going to begin with our jig. So I know I cut the guide holes. Now what I've done is I'm going to cut a baseline. Then I'm going to turn this over and make sure I'm not going to interfere with anything. I always do that regardless of what it is. This here is pretty straightforward. It's just a straight plastics. There'll be some interesting points to cut as we go. But I think overall it's all pretty good. But you see, I've cut the baseline. Nothing is going to interfere, so I should be able to just go at it straight. Pretty good. First piece is done. We've cleared the feet along here. Probably should have drawn a line to a guideline. I'm kind of just doing this by hand. Maybe not the best idea either, but hey, why not? Sure. I've already begun. Now I'm going to go along here. Let's do that. So let's just bring this bad boy to a little more comfortable. I like things to be pretty clean and neat, so once I'm done, I'm still going to take that Dremel, the bits, and just kind of clean up the line so it's nice and smooth. Even if it doesn't work, at least we want it to look somewhat decent. And this should be interesting here. And just a reminder, everyone, make sure you're cutting with enough. So I'll show you here, especially this bracket right here. You want to kind of clear that, right? That's where the mounting is. You can see here, that's where the mounting is, right? This one here is raised, so my cutting is not interfering. When we get here though, we're going to want to drop, and you can kind of see a guideline here. You want to drop a little below that, okay? Okay, just felt like we made contact with something. Let's double check. Okay, no, we did not. I do see where here there's a little lip. I only cut partway through. I don't know if you see there. So may have to break that out or cut that a little more after, but that's okay. We're still good. Let's keep her going. Readjust. Okay. As you can see, cleared it. I know it looks ugly. I'll clean it up after. I don't like having too much of a chop job, although it's fairly like that. Doesn't matter. We're all about modifying, so let's keep going. This should be interesting. Now let's take a look here, because this, when we cut, it's going to go up. It's got to go around in here. We want to make sure there's enough clearance across that, so we're going to take a quick look here using these as our guide. We see we're clear there, clear there, clear there, so it should be okay. So let's give it a go. So what we've encountered here is that this is contacting this piece in here. So let's start from can polish this. Lefty, but here. All right. So more or less that's all done. Cut across. Now though we gotta look because we've cut, but pieces are still attached. Primarily in here, which we've looked at, in here, which we've looked at. So now we're gonna have to cut those. Okay, I'm gonna actually get maybe do a handsaw on those, so I can go straight down. 1 second, guys. Okay, so for the big piece over here, I'm gonna try and use my saw and see. Okay, that worked pretty well, almost all the way down. I'm going to get one of my snips here now. I should be able to just finish the rest off. Snips. Actually, you know what? I look at it now. There we go. Done. Feel kind of bad, I'm going to be honest with you guys, because this is my original airbox for my 2005. But there, we have it. Warning to you guys, as I did with the saw, I don't know what tools you'll use, but make sure you're wearing eye protection, things like that. I did have some plastic pitching up at me, especially when you're doing the saw, obviously not with the jig or anything, but still, eye protection, always use that, and I should have said at the beginning. Now we're going to begin. What you'll want to do is obviously you want to take off this cross member over here, this crossbar, which is 13 mil bolts, 3 of them. I also had a whole bunch of tie downs and stuff that was holding this all together. You kind of see the remnants of that there. And I also had the tie downs holding the ECU. Not the greatest thing, I know, but that's what it was. I've cut all that off already because you wouldn't have to worry about it, but I'm letting you know what I've done so far. What essentially we have to do is take this off, quote unquote, deconstruct the airbox, at least this part of it right here for the moment, so we can start slipping the pieces back on, and then we re-put everything back together. So we're going to start with that here. First thing we're going to do, we're going to take this off here. Head over to this side. Halfway there. Finish these two. Now, I should tell you that, of course, because I've only done measurements to kind of check this out. I don't know if I'm going to encounter any issues in doing this. Shouldn't. Aside from these brackets here, I'll see how I can work around with that. But aside from that, it should be all pretty straightforward. So now we can take this bar off. There we go. Go ahead and take off that cone. Oh, just to show you guys, you can see now I've kind of cleaned it up a bit better. Right, you can see where I did the 4 anchor drill points. Build up, clean up the lines. Just a little smoother. You know, again, no one's really going to see it, but at least it looks a little better off than it would before. Okay, let's get our flathead. Just one very quick second. Okay. Take this off first. Okay, put that aside. Let's see here. We're attempting this first. I'm going to try and put this panel on and screw this on. Let's see how this goes. This is the one that's got me the most interested, so I said let me try that first. Let's flip this over. Just like 5. Screws get in the way. So let's take off that one too and let's see what happens. Actually, that's not what I wanted to come off, but it's okay. Let's take this off here. Actually, no, it'll give me a better idea. Oh, no. Let's see. So this is supposed to mount over here. So this has to go through. So I think the idea will be, for me anyways, is that this goes through and this rubber will form its own seal, see? There. Then we put this here. It won't be completely flush. Oh, let me loosen this up here first. Good spot, let's move it. If we're going to do this, might as well make it easy on ourselves, so we're just going to loosen that up. Same loosening that ring. That on here, make sure it's good and snug, and then tighten it. Good. We put this on. Make sure it's nice and snug. Puts a little ways out, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes together. We'll see what happens. I don't know if it'll actually even go all together properly, because there's not a lot of room to play with, and we don't want to restrict air at the same time. So I'm wondering. Doesn't reach. Okay, I'm gonna pause the video. I'm gonna look at something here. I'll get back to you in a sec. Okay, so I got it on. Now you're probably wondering how. Well, I needed a rubber mallet. Kind of went to work on it a little bit. Take a look. But what I found was happening was when I tried to put it on here, even with that rubber mallet knocking into a good spot, which theoretically should be fine, as soon as you put this on, the lip that's underneath here would pop right out. So I said, let me do it the other way around. So as you can see, I did not put the ring on. Instead, I put the rubber inlet hose over here, put it on, and I put this on, and I kind of took the hammer and gently knocked it into. It was at a good position. It was nowhere near here. It was sticking out till about here, but just enough so I can get the screws on the top and the bottom in. Once I did that, then I just tightened slowly, using again the 10 mil, and just tighten slowly, kind of bringing it in bit by bit so that this stays nice and sealed. This is actually forming essentially the ring, as you guys can imagine, and that kind of sealed it off. Now there is a bit of a gap. It's not completely flush, but considering that this is built the way this is built, this is completely flush. This gives me a couple millimeters here. It may have to move in slightly, but I don't anticipate any change in the airflow. The way it was before when it's out here, this I'd have to put too much, and that may actually change the airflow a bit. This here though won't, so we should be okay. So now it's time to put together the next parts. Oh, I guess before I do that, I did actually went and I cleaned this up as I said I would. I'm just waiting for it to dry, wash it out and everything like that. Does need a bit of cleaning on the exterior, but that's okay. That's something with a good engine wash we'll take care of another time. But right now I just want to clean up the interior from the years of all the stuff blowing in. So that's all done too. So now let's go and start putting together some more. Alright, so I've been reviewing it and seeing what the best way possible to put this together. The main concern, of course, is that with this here, sitting like this, that box attached to it, how do you get the cone and everything all together, right? Because this is going to kind of block the top. Remember I told you at the beginning with the air filter, when you open this up to get to the air filter, you're left with a very, very tiny, annoyingly tiny gap. Well, what do we do here, right? So I figured the best thing to do is disconnect the air hose after the MAF sensor. So we're going to take that out. And then before we put it aside, and actually it may be a good idea to disconnect the MAF sensor as well, actually, now that I look at it. If it'll come off. Pry it. 1 second. Gently pry, of course. You don't want to damage it and cause yourself undue and unnecessary work. I'm going to disconnect that MAF actually, but let's do it here. Oh, all right. So now that's all apart. We're gonna go ahead and get the drill ready. We're gonna put this back together. So we slide this in. Come on, there we go. In a good spot. Get this in such a way that we can get it with the drill. So the best way, that should be good right there. Sorry, there we go. Drill and tighten it up. Kind of a tricky angle, but it can be done. And of course you can always do this by hand. I'm using the drill, but you can always just get a the same screwdriver I actually used to pry the math off, you can actually just use that. But, well, trying to be a little bit quicker. I don't want to spend too much time of you guys watching me screw stuff in. That's good, but I want a little bit better, so adjust the tube, and I'm going to do exactly what I said. Just go by hand. It's good and firm. Now we're going to put our air cone on. Okay, 1 second here. Oh, there we go. 1 second. For a minute I couldn't find the ring, but I found it now. That's kind of weird. Anyways, we're going to put our air filter on. Get it in a good spot. They're good. Okay, as much as she'll go. Oh. Of course, make sure you have the ring on first. Such a stupid thing to do. Alright, anyways. We'll put it on. Our ring. Put it over. That. Just gonna tighten her up. Okay, she's good. She's not going on anywhere now. So now, there we go. So, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put that new piece that we put together here. We're going to clamp that all together. So you can see, I'm going to fit that right through. We're going to put that okay. Okay, I actually discovered something new again. They're all work in progress. Some things you can't perceive. So obviously, this here, when I'm trying to put this on, I can't get it to clamp over here because the cone itself is getting in the way. So we're just going to take that back off for a second. Take the cone back off. I know some of you may have been able to tell me that. I didn't see it. I'm going to put this now on. Sorry, so you can see it there. Well, it's all together now. I'm going to open these clamps here. Put that together. These clamps. Yeah, I remember one of the reasons I wanted to get rid of this box. Damn clamps. Alright, put it together and we're going to clamp it. Okay, there's our cone. So now, put our ring back on. I recommend putting it so the screw faces out so it'll be easier to screw it onto the cone after. Put your cone on. Seconds. Alright, I had to stop the video for a second there because I had encountered an issue, and so I'll tell you what I did to fix it. So the cone, when I was trying to put it on just now, as you guys saw, it was contacting the top here, it wouldn't fit. So what I did is I took this back off, loosened this out, turned it downward at a slight angle. I also made sure it's pushing pretty much all the way back to the math back there. It's not all the way there, don't want to damage the math or anything, but it's pretty damn close. And then it's angled down and I retightened it. Then I tested it before starting the video just because I don't want to keep showing you guys wrong things, and it seemed to work. So we're gonna go ahead now. Let's get this back situated. And we're gonna, I've already got the ring in, so now this fits in beautifully. Just push it in there. Put our ring over. Actually, it looks pretty cool, I'll be honest with you. I like the look. Now we're gonna get our drill. Here. Almost. See it all right there? I see what I'm doing, right? Drilling it in. Good. So that's done. And we've got our cone situated in our box. So now we got to put this all back. This little boy right here. Right here. We'll put that back in. So this, in case you guys didn't see the last video, it's just a couple pegs that hold it in place. So we're going to move the ECU. We're going to place that. Kind of awkward to get to, but we'll get it done. Line up those pegs. Also a little tricky. One is in. ECU aside there. Okay. One there. Okay, I'm going to drop our ECU back in. There we go. And now, moment of truth. Now we're going to put this back in. Back these screws back out. 1 second. No. Hey, what? Oh. Interesting. So maybe. No, the there, 5/16. Interesting. There it is. There we go. Okay. There. Alright, so the holes are all lined up. So now we just gotta put that back together. Let's see how she does. Alright, so bolting up beautifully. Long ass bolts. Point is though, as long as she bolts up. Okay, it's all done. Okay, so did some review, and here's some points to mention for you. So number one, later on, what I personally plan to do is cut an opening here, find a way to do it, and put like a fiberglass, not fiberglass, like a plexiglass over here, so you can see the air filter through. That thing, that would be pretty cool. So I'd like to do that at some point, find a way to do it. That's another thing for another time. More about functionality. I haven't hooked up the mat for the other part of the hose there. Make sure to do that. What I've noticed too is I'm going to want to reseal this. Even when I took it off, I mean, it was what, 4 years ago that I originally put this cone in. When I took it off, this was already starting to, the seal was already starting to wear out as it was. As you can see now, with age and also with the work we did to modify it, and of course just sitting and so on, more of that has gone, and that can lead to a little bit of air seepage coming through. We don't want that. So I'm gonna get some foam, and I'm gonna seal that up at another point. So it's a little bit of a project later on. Maybe something to have ready for you before you start this project is to have some of that foam so you can reseal it. When you're putting the ECU together, when you put it back in, there's an opening. Where is the, there it is. See it right here? So you want to make sure you're lining that up so all the wires feed in there, right? So that's it. But other than that, everything is put together. If you guys have any questions about how it operates or anything like that, I'm going to test drive it for a few days and see if there's any noticeable difference, both in the operation of the car, or if there's any problems that come up. But we'll give it a try in the next few days. It's kind of now essentially like a sleeper look. I've got a cone inside. One wonders if maybe there's so much of a point of that, in the sense that maybe just put a K&N filter right over there and be done with it. But I like the cone, and now with that, without those tubings, the air is going to flow a lot more inside there. So I'm hoping all that will equal to much more of a cold air intake. So we'll try it out and see, and see how it goes. Future projects, you know, the plexi and the seal, but you know what? It all worked out pretty well. I don't need to do my own measurements. You can see that it is very possible to do this with your air box, a little bit of work, a little bit of know-how, a little bit of trial and error. Hopefully by me doing this video, it saves you that trial and error. But yeah, you can see it's definitely possible and doable. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. Do appreciate it. I do like all the feedback and everything I get from everyone, so keep it up. And let me know what you think, and we'll see you next video.